Buying a before unknown player and flipping him for a massive profit sounds like how Daniel Levy gets himself off before bed. But it is of course a great thing for any team to sell a player on for a huge profit. Even more satisfying is when that player goes on to flop at the next club, as is the case with a worrying amount of this list. It's almost as if the people in charge of buying and selling players at some of the biggest clubs in the world are staggeringly incompetent. I know, it's so hard to believe. To make this list, a player must have been bought, then sold. So for example, Jack Grealish will not be making an appearance despite his huge transfer fee as he came through the Aston Villa Youth Academy's setup. He'll be part of a different list down the line covering the biggest transfer profits made from players who came through that club's youth academy. So, you know, bell thing, ding, subscribe, etc. Thank you. For this list, free transfers will be permitted as the player has been brought to the club, then sold to another. A fact that may be significant later on, wink wink. Starting off the list with one of my favourite pastimes and yours, let's all laugh in Manchester United with number 10, Harry Maguire. £68 million profit, Hull to Leicester for 12 million, to Manchester United for 80 million. May his holy frigidness shine his light upon you as you go for a midnight snack. He, the great cooler of perishable foods and warmer of United bench, must be praised for his generosity. Signing for Leicester from a relegated Hull for 12 million, his frigidness went on to be signed for a record-breaking £80 million by the very good player-buyer team known as Manchester United. Not the last time they'll be on this list. Somehow it may not even be the funniest. What a club. May the fridge be with you. Number 9, Anthony. £68 million profit, £18 million from Sao Paulo to Ajax, to United for £86 million. This might be the quickest turnaround between Manchester United paying too much for a player and Manchester United admitting that they have paid too much for a player. Signed to replace the outgoing Ziyech, Anthony came into Ajax with big hopes on his shoulders. £18 million is not a small sum for the Dutch club, yet it seems to have worked out pretty damn well, given his good contributions on the pitch and even better sales. However, his success at Ajax can be put down not only to his own talents, but some of the pieces around him and the way Ajax play. Despite his visible limitations in his far from elite pace, stature, strength and one-footedness, Manchester United forked out an eye-watering £86 million for the young winger. Considering he looks like Arjen Robben without the blistering pace, intelligent dribbling ability or finishing ability, it really does strike as overpaying, but time will tell if the Brazilian can prove his doubters wrong. Number 8, Gareth Bale, £75 million profit, £10 million from Southampton to Spurs, £85 million from Spurs to Madrid. The recent retiree and keen golfer Gareth Bale broke Ronaldo's transfer fee record when he was sold from Tottenham to Madrid for £85 million. Having arrived at Spurs from Southampton as a young left-back with promise, Bale blossomed into one of the world's best players and went on to have an interesting time at Madrid. Despite some memorable goals in the biggest of stages for Madrid, including an outstanding solo run against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey final and an overhead kick that will go down as one of the greatest Champions League final goals of all time against Liverpool, the Welshman's final few years will be remembered for a very public strife with Real Madrid. This period soured him in the eyes of many Madrid fans, with allegations and discontent flying between Bale and the club. It's a shame then that he will be remembered so poorly by some, as at his best, Gareth Bale was quite simply unstoppable. Wales, golf, Madrid. Forever in that order. Number 7, Eden Hazard, at least £57 million profit, likely 80 million approximately. Lille to Chelsea for 32 million, to Madrid for at least 89 million, likely about 112. As you can tell from the start of this, transfer fees are not always as obvious in terms of the fee as they may first appear. A theme that will crop up again and again in the form of performance-based add-ons, conditions and disputes. This is why it can be very hard to give precise figures in this list. Potentially 60 million of add-ons were included in this deal. With Hazard's injury struggles juxtaposing Madrid's relatively successful period, it's very hard to tell just how much Madrid paid Chelsea in the end unless you're one of the accountants. For example, reportedly Hazard being part of Madrid's Champions League winning squad netted a further £15 million for Chelsea due to a linked clause in the contract. So while the base fee is only £57 million profit, it's fair to assume that the true number is significantly higher than that. It seems most estimates are putting the fee paid around 110 to 120 million, but as I said, it's really hard to know. With that said, it's pretty easy to say that this move has not been worth it for Madrid, as the talented Belgian hasn't been able to replicate his Chelsea form. At this point, he'd do well to stay fit long enough to kick a ball boy. Number 6, Antoine Griezmann, £83 million profit, 24 million Sociedad to Atletico, 107 million to Barcelona. Oy, so this one is murky to say the least. Firstly, the exact fee Barca paid Atletico is hard to determine. The figure you'll often find online is 107 million. Atletico claimed they were owed a further 71 million due to Griezmann's contract. Barcelona paid a 120 million euro release clause, but technically approached him when the clause was 200 million euro. Barca and Atletico did a deal, the gist of which I shall now try to explain with a straight face. Barcelona have paid 15 million euros to Atletico for the right of first refusal on Saul Niguez, Jose Jimenez, and 3 other academy players. This has absolutely nothing to do with the Griezmann deal, and isn't in any way comparable to an out-of-court legal settlement designed to avoid a protracted legal battle and tarnishing both clubs' images, and I don't know what would make you think or compare it to hush money. I just really don't know what would do that. Furthermore, Sociedad have a 20% sell-on clause when they sold Griezmann to Atletico in the first place. So you could read the profit as 83 million in the simplest way possible, the difference between the fee paid and the fee received. Quick maths! You could subtract the 21 million owed to Sociedad to leave a profit of 61.5 million. You could add the 15 million that in no way had anything to do with this transfer whatsoever. Or finally, you could try to account for the amusing fact that Griezmann has since returned to Atletico for 17 million euros. This time it was Barca who claimed that Atletico had triggered a clause in the loan contract that if Griezmann played over a certain number of minutes, that Atletico would be obligated to buy him for double the fee they ultimately paid. Look, all I know for sure is that Atletico really got one over on Barca here. They effectively loaned out Griezmann for 90 million euros for a 2-year loan fee, in which time Griezmann struggled for form. A pretty nice result in this confusing mess of a transfer. Number 5, Ousmane Dembele, 85 to 124 million profit, 12 million from Rennes to Dortmund, 97 to 136 million to Barcelona. Our favourite shell-shock victim is back. Before being hauled off at 30-minute mark in a World Cup final, Dembele is one of the most expensive transfers of all time. Another deal with hard to discern add-on value. What isn't hard to discern is that Dortmund flipped a massive profit on a young talent, even given their history of doing so. Known as a club who develop young talents and sell them on, in recent years alone they've sold the likes of Sancho, Haaland and Aubameyang. Frankly, I could do a top 10 list of players Dortmund sold on for huge profits. And I might. Top of said list would be Dembele, as Dortmund sold him for around 10 times what they paid for him merely a year before. Rennes were smart enough to include a 20% sell-on clause to the deal, netting them a big chunk of the money paid for the Frenchman, approximately 34 million. There seems to be something in the water for overpaying for Frenchmen only to watch them flop. As highlighted by number 4, Paul Pogba, 89.5 million profit, United to Juventus for a free transfer, back to United for 89.5 million, back to Juventus for free again. Man United really are funny. Paying a world record fee for a guy who you let go for free, then letting him go for free, having been hopeless flop. They really are trying to make Barcelona look good. Incredible business for Juventus, netting them one of the biggest transfer profits in history. Incredibly funny to look at how he barely seemed to try for large parts of his time in Manchester. Fergie didn't get many wrong, you know, and Pogba most certainly doesn't make that list. Not even the most deluded Man United fan could be claiming that Pogba is one of the best players in the world now, can they? But please tell me they can't.
You know, Homer, it's very easy to criticize.
Fun too.
Number 3, Enzo Fernandez, 90.8 million. River Plate to Benfica for 16 million. Benfica to Chelsea for 106.8 million. Who is this guy? No, I'm serious. Who is this guy? Yes, I watched the World Cup. I watched a Brighton caliber team with Messi in it win the dreadful tournament. Now, who spent 106 million on a midfielder I couldn't have confirmed was playing? Chelsea. Of course. Signed from River Plate for £16 million in the summer of 2022, I don't think Benfica would have dared to dream that he would be turned around for such a huge profit in such a short span of time. I don't blame the player, it's not his fault Chelsea paid absurd money. I do, however, blame Todd Boehly for the single most ludicrous January transfer window of all time. What a clown. Number 2, Coutinho, £120 million profit, Inter to Liverpool for 8.5 million, Liverpool to Barcelona for 106 plus add-ons to 142 million, approximated to 128.5 million. Well, at least with this one I managed to find an apparent approximate figure that Barcelona ultimately paid for the transfer of the little magician. In the ill-fated transfer, saying Liverpool got the better end of the deal is like saying that Babe Ruth was probably a good pickup for the Yankees. A massive understatement. Liverpool were able to fund the vast majority of both Alisson and Van Dijk's transfers off the back of selling Coutinho, 2 players who filled areas of needs in Liverpool's starting 11 and have established themselves as key parts of Klopp's side. Meanwhile, Barca didn't get much out of Coutinho in the end, as we detail more in our biggest flops of all time video. You should watch that. You should watch all our videos. You should give me all your money. Just all your money. All everyone's money. I'll spend it better in Barca at least. Just give me all the money. Give me all of it. All of the money. Give me all of the money. Give me all of it. Before we get to number 1, we have a few honourable mentions. Virgil van Dijk, £62 million profit, 13 million Celtic to Southampton, 75 million to Liverpool. The transfer that inspired this list didn't end up making it. A hugely important signing for Liverpool who had the kind of impact you'd expect from a central defender signed for this kind of money. Looking at you, Harry. I mean his frigidness. Jadon Sancho is 66 million, 8 million from Man City to Dortmund to Manchester United for 74 million. One of 2 transfers that missed out by fine margins, another overpayment by Man U, truly warms the cockle of my heart. Might be early to say he's definitely a flop, but I mean, He is though. Vlahovic, 66 million, Partizan to Fiorentina, 1 million, 67 million to Juventus. Perhaps the most impressive profit not to make the list. Buying a guy for 1 million only for him to become one of the hottest properties in the world football market is remarkable. Missing out on the list by only 1 million won't do anything to lessen the anger of Fiorentina fans towards Vlahovic or his agent for making the Baggio move, especially when Arsenal were interested with a far bigger transfer fee. And last honourable mention, Cristiano Ronaldo, 68 million pound profit, 12 million from Sporting Lisbon to Manchester United, 80 million to Real Madrid. Finally cutting United a little bit of slack. Let's remember when they sold arguably the best player in the world at the time because he wanted to go somewhere warmer. Ronaldo was... Okay, does anyone seriously need me to detail the career of Ronaldo? Really? If you want someone to give you a Wikipedia entry on one of the top 2 players of his generation, go watch a Watch Mojo vid or something. And number 1, Neymar, 128.5 million, Santos to Barcelona for 71.5 million, 200 million to PSG. Not Pele, nice to see you. An incredible talent. It seems Neymar has not lived up to his true best in the world potential since leaving Barcelona. He originally signed for Barca for a reported 48 million. Although this kind of reporting is one of many financial, let's say, indiscrepancies Barca have been guilty of in recent years. The true fee of 71.5 million caused much embarrassment due to the attempt to hide it, not least because it included a 35 million payment to Neymar's dad. Thankfully for Barcelona, the move certainly worked out on the pitch, with Neymar forming 1/3 of possibly the greatest front three ever assembled alongside Leo Messi and Luis Suarez. Throwing around the monopoly money, PSG decided to trigger Neymar's giant 200 million release clause in 2017, making it the biggest single sum paid for a footballer in history to this point. Although no doubt 5 minutes after I publish this list, Man U will break that record on a bench warmer. Seemingly more concerned with not missing his sister's birthday than PSG, as well as periods of trying to force his way out of the club, it's highly debatable whether or not Neymar has been worth the money that gets him to the top spot on this list. And that's the list. Which sale saw the greatest profit for your club? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to laugh when United and Hicks pay 80 million for a dud. Oh, and join the clan while you're at it, would you?